Here's a full-length tutorial for how to make this exact mask. As for supplies, you need a cat mask base, some black felt, some black faux fur, paint, a hot glue gun, paintbrushes, and scissors. First, start gluing around the nose. Position the felt over it so it completely covers the entire mask, and start pushing down the glue. Use your fingers and work the glue away towards the edges of the mask while pressing firmly to get it nice and smooth. I have another tutorial for how to do this specifically, but as long as you work your fingers from the middle of the mask outward, it should stay nice and flat. I sped this next part up just because it's gluing the ears, but basically do the same thing and just push the fabric and stretch it into place. Next, you're going to trim along the edges of the felt, leaving about an inch of room. Glue along the very edge of the mask and push down the excess fabric into place. Once you do this all the way around the mask, it should look like this. Now for the eyes, cut from one corner to the next corner, and then straight up and straight down. Next, glue all the way around the edge of the eye, and use your fingers to push from the outside of the mask into the inside. This will get the fabric to stick right against the eye. Next, figure out what direction your faux fur goes, mine goes to the left here, and position it so the fur goes away from you, like this. Next, you're going to want to cut out a curved shape that's approximately the size of the side of the mask. This doesn't have to be exact because you can adjust it later, but it should fit like this. Next, cut a nice curved shape out of the fur and line it up against the mask. Mine's a little long, so I'm going to trim the excess off. But once it fits like you want it, take that piece of fur, flip it over so that the fur is facing you, and trace along the edges with a colored pencil, chalk, something to show up on black fur. Cut that shape out and you should have matching pieces of fur for either side of the face. Once you have those cut out, put some glue on either side of the mask and glue each piece of fur in place. I usually glue it to the surface of the mask just because the paint looks better afterwards. Now the next step is to paint the mask. So you're going to pour your paint into the paint tray and really water it down, like really water it down. You want this paint very liquidy. Take some white paint and put it on the snout of the mask. You're going to want to not be very careful with this and leave a lot of black showing through, because the best way to add detail and texture to a mask is just use the felt to your advantage. So once you color these areas white, don't worry about your paint kind of running out a bit. You want that effect on the mask. Add two kind of dark gray but almost white stripes to the side and start adding stripes to the forehead like this. These don't have to be exact, and in fact if they're not exact they look a bit better. Add some brown and start adding some more details to the snout and face. Make sure to leave a lot of black showing through and don't worry if it's not perfect. Next, take some beige or brown paint and add stripes to the fur. I did 4 on either side, and make sure you only go in the direction with the fur and not against them. Again, this is really watered down paint. I added a bit of more of the reddish brown to it and started painting the cheeks and sides of the snout as well as the eyebrows. I used a bit more white and went around the eyes, adding big sections like this. And then I added a bit more stripes with some dark gray paint, and I added this to the fur as well to give it more dimension. Next, add some gray paint and start going over the snout. It should look like this. After that, take a tinier brush and start adding details. You get a little bit more paint and less water to it now just so the paint sticks a bit better, but I add some stripes above the eyes, below the eyes, and to the forehead. This last step is to take black, really watered down black, and start adding in those stripy details. Anywhere there's a dark area you want to stripe, add it in. I use a real picture of a cat as references at times, and then I go around the eyes with black paint and add a little bit more detail. Add a bit more black paint to the stripes to make them really pop, and then just color in the nose black. I also added some spots. And there you have it, your perfectly finished Tabby cat mask. Follow me for more tutorials.